In today's video, we're going to learn what it meant to have a natural birth in the Tudor era based on the 1540 edition of The Birth of Mankind. Today, the phrase natural birth in the West can bring to mind anything from a conventional hospital birth without anesthetic to a planned unassisted birth, meaning no medical assistance at all. Though wildly different in scope, the general idea is that the modern natural birth is a conscious choice by the pregnant person to reduce or eliminate medical interventions during labor and birth. In the 16th century in Europe, labor and childbirth were women-only affairs, off limits to men save in very limited situations. Women didn't really write or talk about the experience of being pregnant or of giving birth. It wasn't really a matter for public discourse, save for those of a celebrity like a queen. So when Birth of Mankind was first published in English in 1540, it was considered groundbreaking, even though the information and concepts inside were over 1,000 years old. For that reason, and the fact that it was authored by a man, it is hard to know what elements of the recommended practices in the book would have been new to the women and midwives it was marketed at. Maybe they had already been doing all of the things it recommended. It's unlikely that contemporary male authors or translators would have known one way or the other. What is clear is that there was one definition of a natural birth, and it wasn't a choice made by the pregnant woman. Rather, it was at the whim of nature. But ye shall note that there is two manner of births, one called natural, the other contrary to nature. Natural birth is when the child is born both in due season and also in due fashion. The due season is most commonly after the 9th month, or about 40 weeks after the conception. The due fashion of birth is this. First the head cometh forward, then followeth the neck and shoulders, the arms with the hands lying close to the body toward the feet, the face and the forepart of the child being towards the face and forepart of the mother, as it appears in the first of the birth figures. A natural birth is one that is term, around 40 weeks of gestation, known as the due season, and one in which the baby presents an occiput anterior or OA positioning. It was also believed that a natural birth should be relatively easy. Another thing also is this, that if the birth be natural, the deliverance is easy without long tarrying or looking for it. But unlike today, the majority of people in the 16th century would have had personal experience losing siblings, mothers, aunts, or female friends in childbirth, or of losing their own babies. Instead of birth plans, women wrote their wills during pregnancy. In her essay on birth figures, historian Rebecca Whiteley explained that at the time nature was personified and believed to be an active agent in the body, it was thought to actively work towards a state of humoral balance. The early modern healthcare provider believed that health was a natural state and they only needed to find ways to support it in an unnatural world. Therefore, it would seem obvious that childbirth, if entirely natural, should be relatively easy on the woman. It's a hopeful idea, especially for the male authors of childbirth manuals. The mothers and midwives would have been eager to find signs that the birth would be a natural one. According to The Birth of Mankind, they are that the woman is over 15 years old, but not too old, though no age is given on this, that she's not fearful, that she's obedient, strong and mighty of nature, of moderate weight, not under or overweight, and that she's pregnant with a male child. Also, you must understand that generally the birth of the man is easier than the birth of the female. Other signs include having an active fetus with lots of kicking and moving, a previous natural birth, and labor pains that come in the lower part of the belly. These signs betoken and signify good speed and luck in the labor. Unquietness, much steering of the child in the mother's belly, all the throngs and pains tumbling in the forepart of the bottom of the belly, and when the woman is strong and mighty of nature, and such as call well and strongly help herself to the expelling of the birth. Women and their unborn babies were considered to be active agents in the birthing process. Both needed to be strong and active. If one wasn't able or willing to do their part, the birth would become drawn out and even dangerous, making it unnatural. With that in mind, there were some things that a woman could do to help ensure that if favored by nature with a natural birth, that it would remain natural. She must take good heed to her diet, take things the which may comfort and strengthen the body, feeding not overmuch of anything, and to drink pleasant and well-savoring wine or other drink. Also, moderately to exercise the body in doing something, steering, moving, going, or standing, more than otherwise she was wont to do. These things farther the birth and make it the easier, and this is the manner of diet the which we advise the woman to keep the month before her labor or longer. The pregnant woman is advised to avoid constipation by eating foods that have a laxative effect, along with the use of a clyster or enema of broth or suppositories of soap, lard, or egg yolk if they needed to get things moving. Why? It's because they saw pooing as being sympathetic to childbirth. If poo isn't coming out easily, then the baby won't either. When labor or the menstrual period starts, many women develop diarrhea due to the prostaglandins stimulating the smooth muscles of both the uterus and the bowels. And this is the source for the old wives' tales for bringing on labor with laxatives like castor oil. Even though some stimulant laxatives may cause uterine contractions along with intestinal contractions, it's not a means of jumpstarting labor. Put down the castor oil. There is a separate diet recommended once labor has begun. Another diet there is the which she ought to observe in the time of labor, when the storms and throngs begin to come on, and the humours which yet hitherto have remained about the matrix or mother collected now begin to flow forth. And this manner of diet consisteth of two sorts. First, that such things be procured and had in readiness, which may cause the birth or labor to be very easy. Secondly, to withstand, defend, and put away so near as may be the instant and present dolors. And as touching this point, it shall be very profitable for her for the space of an hour to sit still, then rising again to go up and down a pair of stairs, crying or reaching so loud as she can so to steer herself. During labor, it was advised to have on hand food and drink that will help with the birth as well as comfort the laboring woman or reduce her labor pain, with the side of stair climbing and vocalizations. And there were various medical preparations that could help augment birth, including potions, pessaries, vaginal incense, herbal baths, and various lubricants. Saffron and Siler monatum provoketh the birth of any living thing if it be drunk. Howbeit to the woman give never passing a dram at once of saffron, for greater quantity should greatly hurt. Now, I'm no herbalist, but I know that saffron is advised against consuming during pregnancy because it causes uterine contractions, and WebMD, also known as youhavecancer.com, warns that 5 grams causes poisoning and 12 to 20 grams can cause death. And 1 dram is about 1.75 grams. So yeah, no more than 1 dram. Pessaries. Now, these are pills or other preparations, sometimes wrapped in wool, which are put inside the vagina. Also, it is very good to dip wool in the juice of rue, and the same to convey into the secrets. Also, the power of Aristolochia rotunda, or the root called Bother Marchis, or Malum Ter, or the seed of Staphysagere. Any of these wrapped in wool and conveyed inward provoketh and calleth forth the birth. And on to vaginal incense. It shall also be very profitable for her to perfume the nether places with musk, amber, galla muscata, which put on embers yield a goodly favor, by the which the nether places open themselves and draw downward. Have you ever heard the phrase blowing smoke up your butt? Well, it's a thing, and in the case of 16th century midwifery, it's usually blown up the vagina. This concept works on the principle of attraction to good smells and being repelled by bad smells. Combine that with the idea that the organs, especially that uterus, can wander around the body, and it makes a case for vaginal incense or fumigation. Just make sure that only the vagina gets the good smells, or childbirth could get really interesting. Perfumes put on the embers must be so closely received underneath that no part of the smell do ascend to the nose of the woman. For to the nose should the savour of nothing come, but only such things the which stink or have an abominable smell. Some of the ingredients of these perfumes or vaginal incense include bird poo, the fume of culver dung or of hawk's dung, by putting 2 of papanacum, I am probably saying that wrong, is sovereign for the same. All of these fumes open the pores beneath and causeth the nature to be freer in deliverance. And a culver is a bird like a pigeon. So how about something more relatable, like a warm herbal bath? But about 10 days before the time, if she feel any pain or grief, let her use every day to wash or bathe her with warm water, in the which also that she tarry not over long in the bathing for weakening of her. In the bath let her stand so that the water come above the navel a little, and let be sought in the water mallows, holly oak, chamomile, mercury, maidenhair, linseed, fenugreek seed, and other such things which have virtue to mollify and supple. Bathe or wash, then shall it be very convenient for you to anoint the aforesaid greases and oils your back, belly, navel, sides, and such places as are near to the privy parts. Furthermore, it shall be greatly profitable for her to convey inward into the privy parts these foresaid oils or greases with a sponge or other thing made for the purpose. The recommended lubricants are hen's grease, duck grease, goose grease, olive oil, linseed oil, fenugreek oil, holly oak oil, the oil of white lilies, and wine. Lots of wine. And there were medical preparations that could be made with the lubricants. Anointing the privies with oil or other such greases as I spoke of before in this fashion. Take the oil of white lilies or duck's grease, and with that temper 2 grains weight of saffron and 1 grain of musk, and with that ointment anoint the secret parts. The Birth of Mankind also introduces the concept of a birth stool, this newfangled device used by midwives in France and Germany. Once the waters have broken, Jonas writes, then it shall be meet for her to sit down leaning backward in manner upright, for the which purpose in some regions, as in France and Germany, the midwives have stools for the purpose, which being but low and not high from the ground, is made so compass-wise, and cave or hollow in the midst, that may be received from underneath which is looked for. And the back of the stool leaning backward receiveth the back of the woman, the fashion of which stool is set in the beginning of the birth figures hereafter. But the most commonly recommended position is groveling. But, and if the woman be anything gross, fat, or fleshly, it shall be best for her to lie groveling, for by that means the matrix is thrust and depressed downward. All such things as help the birth and make it more easy are those: first, the woman that labor must be either sitting groveling or else upright, leaning backward, according as it shall seem commodious and necessary to the party, or as she is accustomed. And party in this sense means birth, the Latin root word, like in postpartum. Women were also advised to hold their breath, because that doesn't make pain worse, like ever, right? But hey, if you're holding your breath, at least you're being quiet, right? Also, it shall be very good for a time to retain and keep in her breath, for because that means the guts and entrails be thrust together and depressed downward. Bidding her to hold in her breath in so much as she may, also streaking gently with her hand her belly above the navel, for that helpeth to depress the birth downward. And in this case also let the woman withhold her breath inward, and so much as she can, for that shall drive downward such things as being the body to be expelled. The midwife was above all to provide comfort to the laboring woman. Also the midwife must instruct and comfort the party, not only refreshing her with good meat and drink, but also with sweet words, giving her good hope of a speedful deliverance, encouraging and instomaching her to patience and tolerance. And let the midwife always be very diligent, providing and seeing what shall be necessary for the woman. And of course she needed to be patient. The midwife herself shall sit before the laboring woman, and shall diligently observe and wait. The midwife about all things take heed that she compel not the woman to labor before the birth come forward and show itself, for before that time all labor is in vain. Perhaps they recognized that the cervix was a terrible measure of labor progress, because it can stay in one place for days or suddenly dilate in moments. Midwives are instructed to look for the birth as a sign of progress, either a bulging bag of waters or a head or some other bit of fetal anatomy. When the seconding or second birth, in the which the birth is wrapped and contained, doth once appear, then may ye know that the labor is at hand. It was also important that the midwife not be shy about getting in there, like wrist deep. And if necessity require it, let not the midwife be afraid or ashamed to handle the place, and to relax and loose the straits, for so much as shall lie in her, for that shall help well to the more expedite and quick labor. So a natural birth in the 16th century was defined as a relatively easy, quick labor in the due season, or around 40 weeks gestation, to a preferably male baby who presents in the OA, or due fashion position. Medical intervention may be used to augment the birth or to provide comfort to the woman, but it was not strictly necessary for a natural birth. This seems simple enough, but is it wise to go into birth believing that it ought to be this quick, easy experience unless something is wrong or unnatural with it? Did religious ideas play a role here? I.e., in this 16th century mind, was the Garden of Eden the only truly natural place, and so no birth can be truly natural because of original sin and the punishment of giving birth in pain? Some of the recommendations in the book are laughable today, and a few are even dangerous. And these are just the ones for the natural easy births. Wait until you see the unnatural birth video. But are there any of these recommendations that you would consider trying? Or if you are a midwife, are there any that you would recommend? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you would like to support my research, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is in the doobly-doo.